Now, if you can speak in complete sentences and have a fairly normal thought pattern, and you're a liberal, we leave a line open just for you. On the other hand, if you're one of these liberal Tourette's types who's going to get on here and kind of freak out, call Hannity. Now, Robert Reich used to be Labor Secretary under Bill Clinton. And yet, Robert Reich reflects the common view of the left these days. Robert Reich said something today. If he had said it 10 years ago, everybody would be stunned. But today, we hear this all the time from the Democrats, from this administration, from Democrats in Congress. And then when you point out that they say, what are you calling him, a Marxist and a socialist? Well, wait, he's defined himself. But here he is, Robert Reich, Hat Tip Newsbusters, Cut 3, go.
But it also breeds a kind of anger. I mean, so many middle-class people, lower-middle-class people, working-class people are frustrated. They are anxious. They're worried about paying their bills. You know, Republicans are very good at channeling that anger toward what? Government, immigrants, public employees. An angry population and an angry populace could just as easily turn their anger toward the very rich. Again, it is in the interest of the people at the top to actually call for a more equitable distribution of the gains of economic growth and a better tax system, a tax system that is fair.
What he means is this. The top 1% pay upwards of 40% of the federal income taxes in this country. What he means is they should pay almost all of it. Now, this kind of claptrap raises a question. Where are we going to get the funds in the private sector to invest and create jobs? You see, the problem with the left and their ideology is they don't give up. They keep pushing the same claptrap. If government could create wealth, then why isn't Cuba the richest country on the face of the earth? Why is Venezuela bankrupting itself? Why is it that all these non-capitalist societies are poor and miserable, and the people are repressed, in many cases tortured if not killed in the back lots? Even Red China has had to embrace more and more capitalism to feed its people. So this administration and the likes of Robert Reich and his ilk, I like saying his ilk, are now further to the left on the political, check that, on the economic spectrum than the communist nut jobs that run Red China. It's stunning to me. It is stunning to me to hear these people. We've already now experimented with socialism. We've been experimenting with it since FDR. It's in hyper-experimental form right now. We're bankrupting the nation and future generations. We're driving unemployment up, home ownership down, wealth out, and they say we need to do more of it. Why aren't these people dismissed as absolute kooks? He's a kook. Now, also, kook, we are not directing the outrage of the middle class, the lower middle class, the working class. I don't even know what the differences are between those classes. This whole class thing is another Marxist notion, but that aside, we'll let the morning backbenchers take those thoughts and run with them. Here, take it. These objections are spontaneous. They are grassroots. When you go to a homeowner who's barely holding on barely to their homes, or they're underwater on their homes, or barely holding on to their jobs, and you increase their tax bill because you want to take what they have left in their bank account and give it to a complete stranger who happens to work for the local, state, or federal government, rather than keep it to pay for your own home and clothing and food for your own family, they object. They don't need to be told to object. They object. They work for what they have, and they'd like to keep more of it. This isn't a rich versus middle class, rich versus poor, poor versus middle class. This is the American taxpayer saying, enough already. Don't hand us the Marxist claptrap, the socialist bullcrap. We don't want to hear it anymore. We played along, and look where we are. Damn near destitute. We don't know what our future's going to hold. We're scared to death about what's going to happen with our kids and their future. We're scared to death that this society's going to collapse, and your answer's the same damn thing. Even though it doesn't work, it's never worked. It cannot work. It cannot work. But I wanted you to hear this, because this is what their brainiacs, so to speak, keep coming up with. Now, it's the same chorus, whether it's economics or race. So we'll move right to their next issue, race. Can I ask you a question that I've asked before? If our society is so racist, why do so many people of different color, different backgrounds, different heritages pour over our borders? Why do they want to come here? Why do people from Latin America want to come here? People from Africa want to come here? People from the Caribbean want to come here? People from Asia want to come here? What are you coming here for? People from the Middle East? We are a racist, backward society. That's what the libs keep telling us. Yet we can't keep anybody the hell out of here. Gee, I wonder what that's all about. I'll tell you what. We're not a racist society. There, I said it. And for some reason, that's going to be considered controversial. Does that mean there aren't some racists in our country? Of course not. That would be stupid. I'm sure there are many. But not the vast majority of the population. The vast majority of Americans, black, white, brown, yellow, red, polka dot, just want to get along. They want to live their lives. They don't want to push people around. They just want to get along. We're a very, very tolerant society. We are tolerant of tall people and short people. We are tolerant of skinny people and fat people. We are tolerant of all kinds of colors of people. We're tolerant of every kind of religion of people, or no religion. And you damn well know it. And yet these politicians want to keep telling us otherwise. Why? Why do they want to keep lying about us, the American people? Why? Because it's to their benefit to balkanize this society, to divide and conquer, so they can fill the gaps. You look through history, you look around the world today. Could our kind of society, Christian, Jew, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, 1,000 other kinds of religions and denominations, and 1,000 types of non-religions and denominations that pray or don't pray to who knows what. Do you think this kind of society could exist in the Middle East? Do you think this kind of society could exist in North Africa? Do you think this kind of society could exist in China or anywhere else on the face of the earth? And yet we are constantly told to berate ourselves, to punish ourselves. We're constantly told to look at slavery and segregation when we're trying to get past it. They keep trying to drag us back and drag us back. Why? Because they have contempt for us, regardless of our color and our sex and our religion. We believe in the American dream, but our politicians apparently do not. They do not. We have an Attorney General of the United States who should be resigning. He should have resigned already. But he won't, and there'll be no pressure for him to do so. He is a political hack. He is a leftist. His law firm represented many of the terrorist detainees at Guantanamo Bay. He has hired and surrounded himself with among the most radical lawyers that exist in this nation. He has politicized his litigation decisions. And I tell you, as somebody who was chief of staff to an attorney general, I've never seen anything like this, and nobody's ever gotten away with anything like this. Now, he's been asked about that new Black Panther case, where you can see it on video, where people are being intimidated. And his civil rights division, so-called, dropped the case. They were too busy chasing down the governor of Arizona, I guess. And I'm going to tell you why they dropped the case. Because of race. There is a deep-held belief on the left that racism can only go one way. This new Black Panther Party is as racist as it gets. And our United States Justice Department, our Attorney General of the United States, look the other way. I want you to hear Holder. He is responding to Congressman John Culbertson of Texas. I want you to hear him get on his high horse, talking about the 1960s, what took place in the 1960s, which was horrendous, but has absolutely nothing to do with his refusal to pursue civil rights violations today. Because if we're stuck in the 1960s and civil rights violations today are not worth pursuing, why do we have a civil rights division? Here's Holder today. Cut one, go.
I would hope that this committee will pursue in greater detail and more depth, and perhaps, Mr. Chairman, in a separate hearing, these very, very serious allegations of repetitive behavior to the Department of Justice, sworn testimony that indicates there's a pattern of behavior of refusing to enforce the laws in a racially neutral manner, ignoring the voter intimidation in Pima County, Arizona, ignoring voter intimidation in Philadelphia, the Ike Brown case where attorneys in the department were harassed. So we've got sworn testimony. And the reason it's relevant, if I could, in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, point out that the Department of Justice is asking for a $145 million increase in the Civil Rights Division funding for this year, Mr. Chairman, and that includes funding for 815 staff positions. That's a 14% increase in manpower and an 18% boost in spending. I want to make sure American taxpayers are getting their money's worth, Mr. Chairman, that money's being spent in pursuit of cases in a absolutely blind and racially neutral manner, no matter who it is. If they're intimidating voters, if the voter registration rolls, that's another question, Mr. Chairman. Section 8 of the National Voter Registration Act, we've got sworn allegations that it's not being enforced. States are being allowed to keep garbage lists, and the DOJ is charged with cleaning up those lists. I think it's worth very careful inquiry, Mr. Chairman, to determine whether or not these out. Mr. Fattah says it's false. We've got sworn testimony it's true. We need to pursue that in great detail.
Well, if I could...
Let's stop right there. We're going to have the answer when we come back. Did you know about these massive increases in spending and staff in the civil rights divisions? Massive increase in spending and staff. Are we having massive civil rights violations in this country? I haven't seen it reported, and I'm sure the liberal media would be telling us all about it. Are we ginning up that civil rights division to go after states like Arizona? Is that it? When we come back, we'll have the response.